Hey, it's Mark. Today I'm going to spend some time, not a lot, talking about three terms that I think are very important to our community, to our society, to ourselves, and that I think that are sometimes today given some sort of a negative connotation almost, if not a positive connotation. And I think that there are three terms that are critical to us being okay emotionally, psychologically, and even physically, and also can contribute to our community, to the improvement, the enhancement, the growth, the development of our community. And what I'm talking about is attention, recognition, and acknowledgement. And I'm going to talk for a minute about those three and then talk to them about how they kind of interact as far as law enforcement goes. So, attention. We all seek attention. From the time we're born, we seek attention. We're given attention, we give attention. And as we grow, it seems that if you look at as parents, I raised several kids and I've got grandchildren. So, you find yourself saying, stop making a fuss, stop making a scene. You're bringing attention to yourself. Stop bringing attention to yourself. It's not all about you. That sort of thing. We look at people and we tell them, don't draw attention to yourself, right? As people, we try not to draw attention to ourselves. We try, some people, other people definitely do. But for the most part, our society is very much don't draw attention to yourself. Then, how contradictory we are. Think about who we reward the most in our society. It's the people who draw attention to themselves. They're the ones who get noticed. They're the ones who get seen. They're the ones who get talked to. And all of a sudden their opinion matters when they haven't done anything. Case in point, if you look at the Kardashians, and not to say anything negative, I'm not trying to bash the Kardashians at all, but if you look, they have built a hundreds of millions of dollar empire off of just getting attention. They just created a situation where it's essentially, look at me, look at what I'm doing, which is just living my life, and then to do other things that enhance that, but draw attention to themselves. And they've been greatly rewarded for that. If you look at athletes, right? Athletes that are the ones who are most outspoken, to draw attention to themselves, whether it's to themselves or to some sort of a cause or something like that. Whatever your politics are, not going to get into that. But it's understand that they draw attention to themselves. Celebrities, same thing. You see celebrities at some points, and they'll say something controversial, just to stir up some interest and attention. And we always say, they're just trying to stay relevant. Well, they're just seeking attention, right? They haven't had attention for a while. Nobody's recognizing them or whatever. So they need that attention again. They need somebody to pay attention to themselves, to see them, to look at them, to talk to them, to ask them things. Social media is all about attention, right? We post our meals. We post things, little things that we would, never bother to call somebody on the phone and say, hey, check this out. We post on our Facebook accounts, our social media accounts, and then look to see how many people respond, like, love, heart, whatever it is, the emoji of the day. We look to see how many people, and we gauge sometimes our self-worth by how many likes we have, right? How many views we have of our little video. Did the video go viral? Wow, are people paying attention to it? Are people looking at it, right? So we have this contradiction of not calling attention to ourselves, but then rewarding the people who do call attention to themselves. And that we do actually like having attention, right? Positive praise. We love that kind of stuff. Recognition, right? Recognition. We look at recognition as though, somebody is being rewarded or being recognized, being observed for their accomplishments, their achievements, right? Look at award shows. I mean, what does it matter for you that, so-and-so wins a best Oscar for cinematography or dramatic interpretation of a book, but we'll watch the show to find out. We like to see people get accolades for their achievements, their accomplishments. Look at now what we've been doing with kids with participation trophies. We want to give them recognition for just being there. We want to give them recognition for just being. I understand that, and we can do that. However, I think that we can sometimes inhibit people because we're not requiring them any effort from them. And we're going to recognize them for no effort. So then they say, well, why should I expend an effort if you're going to recognize me anyway? And a lot of times the world doesn't work like that, right? You don't get paid just for showing up to your job. You actually have to perform a task at your job. Our acknowledgement. So we like to be acknowledged, if for nothing else, in our basic humanity, right? That I'm a human being. I have value, the same as you. I want to be acknowledged for that. Please don't discount me, dismiss me, whatever it is. Diminish my value in any way. We want that acknowledgement. And that could be as simple as, in our society, direct eye contact. A hello, a wave, an acknowledgement, right? We talk about the Pez head. That, hey, oh, they just gave me a Pez head. I thought maybe I would grant some hello or something like that, but I just got a Pez head. Okay, great. But at least that's acknowledging our humanness, right? Our togetherness in this all. When we talk about that, as far as in hostage rescue stuff, is if the hostage taker doesn't acknowledge the humanity, the humanness, the value of the hostage, that could be an increasingly dangerous situation for those hostages, and that we have to think about an intervention. So as we're looking at these things, attention, recognition, and acknowledgement, let's look at what it means in the community, especially between law enforcement community relations. Where are we with that? What is attention? Well, if we look at the situation now, oftentimes people's only interaction, direct interaction with law enforcement, uniformed police officers, what have you, is in a negative situation, right? A crime has been committed, or somebody's doing something wrong, or we believe somebody's committing a crime, and now the police show up to handle that. So people start to identify police with negative attention, okay? Negative recognition, negative acknowledgement. I'm looking at you. I recognize you're doing something wrong. You're a criminal, okay? So what might be an improvement is if we start to change the dynamics of that relationship, where people are giving and receiving attention to police officers in just everyday situations, not in any negative capacity, right? Where, as police officers, you're not driving by people, not acknowledging them until some sort of negative situation occurs. That you're not driving up and down the street, just passing people with your sunglasses on and your windows rolled up, the AC on or your heater on, and people are looking at you and there's no acknowledgement. When we don't acknowledge people's humanity, basic humanity, through direct eye contact, through acknowledgement, through a Pez head even, people start to think, wow, I matter, but you're not treating me like I matter. You see me as less than you. Now, we could act like that's not happening, and we can act like that's not true, but we all know. And from law enforcement side, you're thinking the same thing. You're thinking that the public doesn't see you as human. They don't see you as, I see it all the time, right? All these reminders that you're people too. So let's get over the fact that we don't want to acknowledge all that stuff, and let's acknowledge that we are doing that to each other. And we're doing it to ourselves, right? Once we start to act like that, we'll retreat back and retreat away from each other, and we won't give each other that attention. We'll say, oh, you don't want me around except when something goes wrong, so I won't be around until something goes wrong. Well, okay, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I'm looking at this like this. So we can do some things to increase and improve. Attention. direct eye contact. Hello, how are you doing? Just in a normal course of events. No, I'm not here investigating any crime. I'm not here for anything else. As police, we've all seen it. You go into a restaurant to eat dinner. What does somebody say to you? Oh, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. Or, is there a problem here? I used to go, yeah, I'm hungry. That's the problem. I want to eat. They get used to seeing police officers only in a negative context. So we've got, as police officers, be give and receive attention in the normal course of the day. Recognition. Recognize people. Recognize whatever they have. I saw this guy wearing these shoes one day. I wasn't working. This was just a little bit ago. And I was like, dude, those are the best shoes. And he was absolutely excited and ecstatic because he chose the shoes. He chose them because he liked them. And now here's some total stranger was like, man, I really like your shoes. The shirt. I wear the shirt around. I always get people to say, all right, they either recognize where it's from, the movie, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, or they just go, man, that's great. Because it's something nice to see in this society, right? In this society where it seems to be like every day we see new things that are tearing each other down. It's just nice to see something that is saying, hey, let's be excellent to each other. But that recognition, right? That they did something or have something or their decision was really cool, Just a recognition of that. Acknowledging people as human beings. Just a hello. Have a short exchange about something other than law enforcement, right? Because people oftentimes think they can only talk to the police about police things. And they don't realize that they can talk to a police officer about anything because a police officer is a person. A police officer has hobbies, has dislikes, has likes, has interests outside of policing. And if you don't, get some. But it's a way for people to then see police officers as human beings first, and then as police officers being what they do for a living to contribute to the community. It doesn't matter where it started, who started it, or whatever. Here's where we are. And we're in a place right now where people seem increasingly comfortable with discounting other people and treating them as less than people, as diminishing their value, discounting their value. And I think that it doesn't matter where it started. Somebody, you, me, the people who can see it, who can identify that, are now bound and obligated to start to work towards increase and improvement. If you don't, how are you ever going to be able to say that that it mattered to you? If you see people treating people less than, and you don't do anything to try to correct it and fix it and improve it, then one, you can't claim that it really matters to you. And two, you're also in that group of people who discount, diminish, and dismiss other people. So, a couple of thoughts on some basic human interaction. Let's give and get attention from people. It's okay, it's good. It feels good to have people pay attention to you. That's why we do all this stuff. Recognition for things you've done, your decisions, the way you look at things. You make good decisions. You want to be recognized for making good decisions. That's okay. Do the same for others. Acknowledgement. As a law enforcement officer, you are first and foremost a human being, and sometimes people forget that. So it's reminding people that, acknowledge me as a human. So in order to be acknowledged as a human, you have to also acknowledge people as humans. Let's start there. I don't care if the community seems like they don't like you. Just in Philadelphia a couple days ago with the barricaded suspect who shot the police officers, and the crowd, the neighbors were mocking the police and, throwing things at the police. We can look at it that it's all the citizens' fault, or we can also say, okay, great, I'm taking ownership of this. We had some say in this. We've done some things that we need to correct. Let's start correcting them, right? Gary Vaynerchuk, I love what he says. I do the same thing too. He says, no matter what goes wrong, anything that goes wrong, he takes responsibility for. It's just taking ownership. Hey, I don't care what went wrong and who's responsible for it. It's gone wrong. I'll take the blame so that we can now move on to the next step, which is a solution, okay? Because we all too often get caught in the blame game. Oh, you guys were the ones who started treating us bad first. No, you were the ones who treated us bad. Who cares? Here's where we are. That's great. It's all my fault. Now, let's work to a solution, okay? All right. Well, this has been a few minutes, just talking about attention, recognition, and acknowledgement. Let's start with the basics again. We need to start building relationships and repairing relationships that have suffered some damage. All right? Hey, thanks a lot. This is Mark, reasonably opinionated, and I appreciate you tuning in.